Captain Hector Barbossa, pirate lord of the Caspian Sea and the former captain of the Black Pearl. A cursed and greedy soul, a dark trickster, and a cruel manipulator. In the Pirates of the Caribbean universe, no villain has undergone as much growth as Barbossa. From being introduced 20 years ago in The Curse of the Black Pearl as the heinous and sadistic cursed captain of the Black Pearl and her crew of the damned, to being a noble freedom fighter dedicated to ensuring a free world for all pirates to roam the seas, to a privateer for the British Navy with the goal of murdering Blackbeard in an act of revenge, to a successful captain commanding a fleet of pirate vessels, to sacrificing his own life to save his daughter. He went through quite the adventure through all the films. For me, he's constantly been one of my favorite characters in fiction. So to honor this nefarious crook with a heart of gold, I'll be discussing all the potential inspirations for Captain Hector Barbossa. Now, proceed at your own risk. These be the last friendly words you'll hear. You may not survive to pass this way again. To begin with, Barbossa is introduced to audiences after his crew sacked Port Royal in search of a piece of Aztec gold that Elizabeth Swan wore around her neck. The key to lifting the curse the crew were under. Elizabeth is captured after invoking the right of parley, and is brought before Barbossa, a tall, thin man with messy hair and a nasty beard and gnarly teeth and dark yellow eyes. He is truly designed to be the pirate of your worst nightmares. And his killer performance by Geoffrey Rush helps cement his place in pop culture history thereafter. And, as the title implies, there's something eerier being shown in this film, as the major plot twist is that the crew of the Black Pearl are members of the living dead.
Look! The moonlight shows us for what we really are. We are not among the living, and so we cannot die, but neither are we dead.
So, now we're left with a man, his curse, and a ship. So let's start with that. The Black Pearl is based on various accounts through history of sightings of cursed ships, doomed to sail the seven seas and never make port. By far the most famous of these myths is the legend of the Flying Dutchman, a ship that makes its appearance in the Pirates of the Caribbean sequels. I cover the story of the Dutchman in greater detail in my Davy Jones video from a couple months ago, so I highly recommend you check it out if you want to learn more. The link will be in the description and in the card. In short, the Flying Dutchman was a supposed Dutch merchant vessel spotted off the coast of South Africa in the 18th century. Generally, ghost ships are illusions of ships spotted in the distance, or full-blown conjecture from drunken or superstitious sailors. Or even more terrifying, a still sailing vessel devoid of human life. The Black Pearl is clearly based on these legends, being deemed a myth by the members of the British Navy. But of course, as we all know, the myths of the Black Pearl are true, though we don't learn until later in the film the true nature of the damned vessel, as we learn that her crew was cursed by bewitched Aztec gold, enchanted by the heathen gods as a way to ward off the greedy and evil. Cursed treasure is a long-standing myth of pirates in Western mythology, and it's currently unknown how these legends started.
This is Aztec gold. One of 882 identical pieces they delivered in a stone chest to Cortez himself. Any mortal that removes but a singular piece from that stone chest shall be punished for eternity.
The cursed gold of Hernan Cortez is the central mystical force in Curse of the Black Pearl, the curse that turned the crew of the Pearl into a bunch of skeletons, unable to feel and unable to die, doomed to sail the seven seas until Judgment Day. In modern pirate media, the trope of the cursed pirate is entrenched in the genre. But where does it come from? Well, the writers made it up. Yeah, the trope of cursed pirates is made up over the course of years. Everything from Blackbeard's ghost to the Flying Dutchman from SpongeBob. Stories of ghost pirates and cursed sailors are pure conjecture, rooted in the mystique of pirates in general. There's a weird, mysterious allure to rogue sailors that be hunted by the world's governments and treated as subhuman monsters by them. In Curse of the Black Pearl specifically, the cursed gold of Cortez has roots in real history. While the slaughter of Hernan Cortez and the conquest of Mexico was a real event, skeleton iconography is greatly tied with both Aztec and modern-day Mexican traditions. Today, Mexicans celebrate the Day of the Dead in early November, a holiday that ties back to the imagery of Aztec culture. Pair this with Isla de Muerta, a mythical island of the dead, filled with gold, being very similar to the myths of El Dorado, the lost city of gold. We have some very clear Mesoamerican inspiration. As an aside, phantom islands are a very common part of sailor myth, often spawned from navigational errors or generally incorrect observations. One of the most famous phantom islands was Isla de California. Yes, people believed California was an island. Now, to the man himself, Barbossa. Who was his character inspired by? Well, you might not expect the answer to this question. The name Barbossa is a derivative of Barbarossa. So who was Barbarossa? Not to be confused with the Nazi invasion plan of the USSR in 1941, named after the 12th century German king and Holy Roman Emperor Frederick Barbarossa, Hayreddin Barbarossa was a privateer born of Turkish and Greek descent. He was originally named Hezir, raised with three brothers, Uruk, Ilyas, and Ishak. All four brothers became sailors, originally acting as merchants, but eventually took to a life of privateering to help counteract the Knights of St. John near Greece. During a battle against the Spanish, Uruk, who earned the name Barbarossa, meaning redbeard, was killed in battle, and Hezir inherited his name and replaced his wounded hand with a hook, and led an extensive privateering career and eventually climbed the ranks as an admiral of the Ottoman army. He famously conquered Algeria and retired in 1545 in Constantinople, dying the year after. Simply put, this is nothing like the character we see on screen, but nonetheless an incredibly interesting historical figure. In terms of his superficial inspirations outside of his real-world inspirations, he seems like the clear-cut stereotypical pirate of Western media. During and after the golden age of piracy, pirates were seen as near mythological in nature, eventually becoming flanderized until we got what we recognize today. A general history of the robberies and murders of the most famous I can't read this title, Jesus Christ. A General History of the Robberies and Murders of the Most Notorious Pirates by Captain Charles Johnson, a novel with a comically long name, helped popularize the most famous pirates. Everybody from Blackbeard to Ann Body to Calico Jack and Stede Bonnet. The stories of these pirates became myths, and as time passed, the myths became legend. The legends grew until the 1880s with the release of Treasure Island, helping keeping the hype alive, becoming the most influential pirate-related novel in history. Much of the typical pirate aesthetic of being a violent, drunken asshole with a lust for gold mostly came from colonial propaganda, and as such, the trope has become tied to the image of piracy at its core. Buried treasure, pirate speak, and other tropes all originate from various works of fiction, everything from Treasure Island to Peter Pan to Blackbeard the Pirate. Also, yes, pirates did own pet monkeys. So in theory, they could have actually named the monkey Jack. So in short, Barbossa is basically a love letter to every pirate trope of old, as a way to have old tropes subverted by a new generation of pirate stories. Honestly, what a perfect way of paying homage to the older pirate myths by having them represented by the villain, making him the most pure and concentrated form of fictional piracy of all time. At the end of the day, Barbossa, much like the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, is a perfect marriage of real historical inspiration and creative talents being flexed in the writer's room. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this. Where do you think the stories of cursed pirates came from? Which scenes with Barbossa are your favorite out of the Pirates movies? Let's get a discussion going. Also, if you'd like to talk to me one-on-one about different piratey topics, feel free to join my Discord server. I'm always free to chat, so swing by if you're interested. Also, if you want to financially support my channel, feel free to check out my merch store or donate to my Patreon page. That way I can dedicate more time to making videos for you guys. A mere $5 a month on Patreon will also get your name listed in the credits at the end of my videos. If you got some extra cash lying around, consider donating. That's all for today, and I hope you all have a great day.